In the latest of our series of reports from Japan, Transworld Sport headed to the outskirts of Yokohama in the Kanagawa prefecture. It's here where Kuni's garage is situated. Owned by 42-year-old Kuniaki Takahashi, the garage specializes in modifying and tuning cars for a motorsport that has become part of Japanese culture. This is the world of drifting. It's a high-skilled, high-pressure sport where drivers intentionally maneuver their cars into well-executed, controlled sideways slides at high speeds.
In drifting, you slide your car sideways as you go around corners. You actually steer in the opposite direction as you go around. This is known as counter-steering.
Kuni has been involved in car drifting for over 20 years. Like many in Japan, he first discovered the sport in his late teens on the streets of his homeland.
At that time, there was a place called Nabu Market in Yokohama. Every weekend, it attracted 200 to 300 people who'd watch us race at this junction. I used to go along really wanting to become the #1 star on the street. I was always like that and took part in those races on a regular basis. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell you about this, but sometimes I was caught by the police. They would work out who I was from the registration plate and then come around to my home to have a few stern words with me.
Many believe that the father of drifting was Kunimitsu Takahashi, no relation to Kuni. He began using the technique at the All Japan Touring Car Championships in the early 1970s. His new style gained legions of fans who enjoyed the spectacle of smoking tires and the smell of burning rubber. It wasn't long before other drivers took notice and started to pick up the style. But it was the illegal racers on the streets of Japan who really took to it. The long, winding mountain roads surrounding some of the largest cities in Japan proved to be perfect battlegrounds for illegal drifting. The need to race on these roads was due to the fact that many tracks around the country banned drifting.
I was probably about 28 or 29 years old, and I didn't own a shop like this back then. I was just an employee, a manager at a fuel station. Well, this fuel station manager kept disappearing from the office pretty regularly on one weekend every month. I was taking my car to all these different locations across the country, and I was tuning the car every day after I finished work. Thinking back to those days, when I just started racing, I was totally mad about it.
Now firmly established in the drifting world, Kuni is one of the first names to be invited to any special event around the globe. Traditional drifting meets are split into two categories. The opening rounds see drivers race in a single run or tanso, where they must score points using a system that rewards them for hitting the right angles at high speed and for a smooth movement around the corners. The points form a qualifying structure which pairs the drivers for the chase runs, or tsuiso. This knockout run involves two cars, the lead and the chase. For the majority of his career, Kuni has raced in the Japanese D1 Grand Prix series. After a number of third-place finishes, 2014 finally saw him win the championship.
It's been about 14 years since the D1 Grand Prix started, and it took almost as many years for me to win the title. For the last 3 years, I've been really focused on coming out on top in the series. And when it happened, I felt absolute relief. I hadn't won too many other car drifting competitions, so it was an incredible feeling of happiness.
Traditional drifting cars are small two-door rear-wheeled coupes, with the Nissan Silvia being one of the most popular models amongst drifters. However, Kuni has broken that tradition by choosing to race in a much larger four-door Toyota Mark X.
I've never used sports cars, the typical cars you see with two doors. I never really liked them. When I was in my 20s, I had a Silvia 180. But as I spent more time in the world of drifting, I realized that 80% of the cars were sports cars, such as the Silvia. I've never liked to have the same thing as others. I've always enjoyed being different. Let me give you a simple example. Japanese people usually use normal-sized chopsticks when they eat, right? But I thought that I'd get more attention if I used chopsticks the size of toothpicks. I guess I'm just a bit of an attention seeker, really.
After quitting his job at the fuel station, Kuni embarked on 2 apprenticeships, one in aero parts and bodywork, the other in engine tuning. The aim was to open his own garage and help fellow drivers gain an edge on the circuit. Today, Kuni routinely gives advice on techniques and offers a helping hand in car modification to the next generation of drifters. Tomokazu Hirota is a long-time friend and is one of the many drivers to have benefited from Kuni's experience and expertise.
I've been fascinated with drifting ever since I obtained my driving license. I was 18 then, and the sport has always had a special hold on me. Kuni is a brilliant driver. There are many great drivers on the scene, but he is the greatest. He teaches us inexperienced drivers so much, and he's always offering advice to us, which is something that we really appreciate.
There are some well-known car shops in Japan, such as Autobacks and Yellow Hat. But these places won't allow anyone to bring in their car which has a super low body or wheels sticking out of the fender. In accordance with the rules of Japan, their certified mechanics are not allowed to fix or alter any cars illegally. Well, this means that young people in the drifting scene would never be able to alter their cars in the ways they want to. So, I give them some advice and give them a helping hand at my garage. I'm not talking about doing anything illegal at this garage. I just help these young drifters who don't have much money. On top of all this, at this garage, we also provide regular services for family cars too. Our aim is to be everyone's handyman.
With his brand firmly established in the drifting world, there's not too much left for this pioneering driver to achieve. However, Kuniaki Takahashi is a man who shows no signs of slowing down just yet. The 2015 Japanese D1 series got underway recently, and you wouldn't bet against Kuni successfully defending his maiden title. Subscribe now to our YouTube channel for the very best of Trans World Sports.